In this video, I am walking a client through building a landing page. And guess what? You get to ride along. So you can help build your... Bah! That stinks.
Amateur hour? Oh my God.
Shut up, shut up. Shut up.
You ever done this before?
So here I am, Ross Erosion, marketing and content coach, and I'm here with Friant, Craig Dacey, friend client. We've established this already.
That's right.
Many different videos. Welcome, my friend. How are you today?
I'm good. How are you?
Good. I'm doing well. It's a sunny day, sunny, warm day in Florida. How is it in your neck of the woods?
It is sunny and cold in Texas, but yesterday it was rainy and cold, so I'll take sunny and cold.
Sure. Sounds great. So, what brings us together today is not just our obsession with maybe talking way too much, but it's actually business. And it is, you are looking at branching out to a new kind client avatar group customer. You've actually brought in a handful of these clients and you started to see this trend, right?
Right.
So we were talking about this, and one thing that we thought would be, or we thought would be advantageous is to build a custom landing page for this new target demo of yours. And I thought, what better reason to record us talking about this than to walk you through building a landing page. So with that, what I'm going to do is, and just so for those of you watching at home, Craig has opened up his website. He's opened up a new blank page. Mm-hmm. And as I go through the outline of a landing page, he's going to fill it in. Okay. Even if, Craig, again, maybe you don't know, like there'll be some parts of this where it's like, hey, I want you to talk about this, this, or this. You actually have that information because I had you do some marketing clarity guide worksheets once again, which we've been through that program. And if you are struggling with your customer clarity, your content clarity, your company clarity, please, let's fix that. Go to getmarketingclarity.com. But I had you work through some of these. So you have all these answers. Now, whether or not I have you do all them in this video, what we'll probably do is work through it together, potentially in a coaching session, right?
Okay.
Which I work with Craig. We meet a couple times a month, and it's a one-on-one coaching session. So, but what I want you to be doing is at the very least putting what goes here on the page. Does that make sense?
That makes sense.
Okay, perfect. All right, so let's jump in. Now, here's what's important. I am not going to sit here and pretend that this is my secret sauce formula. In fact, I, as a marketing coach, the value of me to my clients is that I not only have my own expertise, but I also am open to learning other skills and crafts and bringing them to my clients. And this is a really great example of that. If you are not a copywriter, if you want to be better at copywriting, I cannot recommend this book enough. Copywriting Secrets by Jim Edwards. I will put a link in the description, in the comments, wherever you're watching this. It'll be a link below for you to check it out. Highly, highly recommend it because inside this book, he provides a ton of really applicable templates for a number of different things. So if you're struggling with your copywriting or you want to be a better copywriter, it's a very accessible book, right? It's not like, super scholarly. Not that I know, we're not talking about this is an adverb and this is a noun. It's very practical stuff. So I'm going to be using from this book what he calls the sales letter formula. Okay. All right. So let's hit it. Now, the first thing, this might be obvious if you're building a landing page, headline. Yeah, doy, right? And so with the headline, what now this is the piece I think that is a really good guidance point from the book. And it's a headline package consisting of pre-headline, headline, sub-headline. Okay. Now, I'll share with you an example. So I have a dog. She won't stop licking her paws. We've tried a lot of things, right? We're trying new things every month, it seems. I love her. Her name is Ellie. But this is a headline. Let's say you make some sort of supplement, which I know exists because I get served them on Instagram 5 times a day. This is something that would work if you're making a landing page for someone like me who has clicked and is going to that page. Calling all dog owners, that's like the pre-headline. Then you have the main headline. This daily supplement will cure paw licking and itching ears. And then the sub-headline, and cost less than Apoquel, which is a medicine, soaps, and shots. Okay.
That catches my attention. My dogs, both of them take Apoquel. So I'm
really?
like, wait, cheaper than Apoquel? Come on.
Okay. Well, that's the thing. Okay. So I'm so glad you bring that up. And also, I am trying something new next month, so I'll let you know if it works. Okay. I don't want to.
You're trying it for your itchy ears.
I'm trying it for my itchy paws, and if it works for me, I'm gonna let Ellie use it. It's good. I'm a very caring dog parent. So this is where the pre-headline can really call out and speak to said audience, right? So in your case, you could also use something like attention, attention all. I know in your case, this is something we're looking at, like therapy groups or therapists, right? So attention, any group therapy, providers, So you can use the attention. You can also use, for attention, you can go ATTN. Like it can be as formal as matches your brand. Okay. But this is kind of that pre-headline is to almost identify said audience. Okay. The main headline is the thing, the game changer. The thing, and now for us, and this is speaking a language that I think you understand because you've gone through the clarity sessions. This could be the thing at the top of the flats and fixes, right?
Okay.
So this could be, hey, this is the big thing that you are solving, your solution, your cure, obviously, that kind of thing. And then the bottom sub-headline, right, I think is something that speaks very specifically to the client's maybe top problems, fears, frustrations, that kind of thing, which again, something we go through in the Marketing Clarity program. So this headline package helps to, again, it's to grab attention and also let it know that whatever you're offering has relevancy to this audience. Okay? Does that make sense?
That makes sense.
Good on part 1?
Part 1's good. Was I supposed to be making it?
Oh my God, he ruined the whole thing. It's okay. Luckily, again, because I work with Craig as his coach, even if he's not following the assignments I give him, I'm a very nice coach. I'm just going to make him run wind sprints next time we meet as a punishment.
Okay, so I'm putting it in. Is it just a text block? Is that what this is?
Yeah, and you could do, again, as far as text block, you could have a, you could even have them all as to speak in some language here, H2s, right? But the middle one, I think you still want to follow this kind of template where you want that main headline to be bigger and bolder. Does that make sense?
Yep, absolutely.
So the pre-headline and post-headline could be maybe H3s. The middle one could be an H2.
Okay. Got it.
Okay.
On it.
Cool. All right. Now the next piece is a shocking statement or image. Okay. And the pearl clutching. The thing is, we want them to pay attention. You can also use a did you know statement here. Okay. So the image I think is not necessarily always going to be applicable, right? Again, if we were using this continued example of our dog's paws, you could have a really bad looking paw because dogs will sit there and chew on them, right? But you want to grab their attention. Okay, so this is some statement that can maybe speak to another thing that goes well here is maybe some sort of stat, right? If you have a stat related to what you are doing, the product or service you are providing, right? Like this could be, 80% of plumbers are wasting their money on equipment, right? That kind of thing. Something that, and much like, a lot of things, the landing page kind of, it builds as it goes, as you scroll, right? It's like you want to grab them first, then reel them in, and then hook them. So we're still in the trying to debate, grabbing them in. Okay. And again, Craig, lucky you, we work together. So this is something that I'll work with you one-on-one to fill this stuff in. Part 3, define their problem. So this uses the problem, agitate, solution formula. Okay. So again, Craig, I know I had you do some of our worksheets in preparation for this. So what you can use here are our FFPs exercise, right? You can also use the flats and fixes because you've kind of already in that gone through like, hey, the flat, here are the flats, agitate them, and then here are the solutions type things, right? So this is where you are starting to reel them in a little bit closer, right? What's the problem, right? So with again, getting just back to the I didn't think I'd be running it this long, but I should have known the dog Apoquil example. It's, that it affects their, overall health. This could be tied to also their stomach biome, right? Which is one of the things. If it's like, this could also be, they may be suffering from some sort of, this could be something else, right? The paw itching could only be an outwardly sign of some other thing, right? That's a big agitation that works pretty well with me. And I think with people, it's like this, you may only be seeing, here's something to think about. You may only be seeing the tip of the iceberg, right? So I think that's a good thing to put in here is that, hey, yeah, you may be suffering with the tip of the iceberg here, but it goes deeper. That's the agitate. What's under the surface, okay? And then what is or are your solutions, okay? And this is another way to kind of preamble or introduce that. Here's the problem you face, right? You go boom, boom, boom. And you could put it, and this is getting into the design of a landing page, but you could do it as a grid if you want. You could list it, right? You got to go with kind of your own design aesthetic, that kind of thing that works for you. So here's another example. Here's a problem you face. As a society, we've grown so sedentary that young people don't know how to get into shape and stay there. This is directly actually from Jim Edwards' book, so this is a good one. Okay? Which means and this is the agitation, or this is the solution piece. Which means lucky for you, there's now a solution, right? So actually probably get rid of the you, that's a typo in me. Which means, luckily for you, now there's a solution. So we have the beginning part, the problem, the which means you is the agitation, right? So, hey, I didn't fill this in, but like as a society, we've grown so sedentary that young people don't know how to get in shape and stay there. Which means you are unhealthy, unable to, spend time with your kids, suffer from all kinds of, high blood pressure, diabetes, medication, all these things that agitate that someone may not be in shape. And then you have the solution and you actually can point that out. That's the thing about landing pages too. You can be very intentional, right? Be like, hey, here's the solution, right? And I think that's the big thing too, is like, don't make someone navigate and guess, right? Now, I had you do some worksheets around this therapist group, right?
Yes.
So do you want to, if we take a look at, for example, flats and fixes, right? Which is an exercise I have my clients do. And we can even pull this up here. Give me 1 second. So this is where you can kind of lean in on with the flats, right? Like these are the problems, right? You can agitate them a little more. When you have no idea where the money is going, what does that mean? Well, typically you're wasting money and you don't even know it. It's like, it's like leaving the hose on and then your water bill's super high. It's like, leaving the hose on is the problem. And then it's like, okay, well, high water bill, that kind of thing. And then you have your respective solutions, right?
Right.
So you can even take each one of these segments and have it be a problem, agitate, solution, because you've identified that these are kind of the top problems that this audience suffers from. Does that make sense?
That does, which means you have no idea where the money is going, et cetera, et cetera.
100%, which means you're missing out on money to grow your business. You're missing out on all these things. And again, I think it's the case, particularly as we talked about a lot of things with money with you as a money coach. When people don't know, it's like, you don't even know what you don't know, which I think is a legit thing. It's like, you don't even know what you don't know about where your money's going.
Right.
You don't have a clue. Okay. So now let's keep rolling along. All right. So this next section is the bullet section. And if you look at the solutions piece in the previous one, that can be a little bit shorter, right? I know I had you build out your multiple parts. This is where you can bullet point out each individual of the solution parts, right?
Okay.
Each one we build out 3. So what are your solutions, features and benefits? And it's like the how you're going to accomplish that, right? So if we jump back just real quick, and again, if you would like to work with me one-on-one on the Marketing Clarity Guide, go to Get Marketing Clarity, learn more about it, book your session, just a free 30-minute call to see if it's a good fit. But I want to show okay, so this 1, 2, 3s, these should be these can be your bullet points. Does that make sense?
Yeah. Should it be, so I guess when I did these bullet points, it was more like tangible. Here's what we're going to do. Should it be that, or should it be results based? Like, here's where you're going to be. You know what I mean? Or here's what you're going to have.
Yeah. So I think what you can do here is, and if we go back, this is a little bit, you can commingle, but this is mostly a features and benefits section. So what you could possibly do is commingle them and say, so let's say, for example, you have some tangible, like, hey, you're going to be able to pay yourself
so like from
50% more.
We did that transformations worksheet. So
Correct.
So we could pull from that too, where they're going to be after.
Correct. So this is where you can use, and here's the thing, you can use either one of these. The good thing here is that you have a lot of options, which is always good when it comes to landing pages, because particularly in the features and benefits, right?
Yes.
So I think this might even be, a place where you can use, again, this transformation piece, Okay. This is meant to be, again, features and benefits because we're going to get into the specifics also. Okay.
Okay.
Does that make sense?
Yep.
Perfect. Okay. All right. So we have bullet points. This is where, again, speaking to features and benefits with the intent to build curiosity and desire. So it's like, oh my God, like, work 101. Oh, I'm going to be able to understand how to pay. I think one of the things was how to build essentially a scalable model, right?
Mm-hmm.
And pay people properly.
Yes.
Okay. 5 is a credibility statement. Telling people who you are and why you are qualified to bring them the solution. Now, in your case, Craig, this is probably one of the modules we've kind of already created on your website, but this could be speaking to, hey, this is literally a mini about. Hey, I've been a personal finance and profit coach for X amount of years. You have various, I don't know if they're properly certifications, but you're a Ramsey. You've been profit first, right? Like you can speak to some of those things and your experience there. So this is why, if they've got this far down the page, you're still, again, like you're picking them up out of the water. You know what I'm saying? Like you've reeled them in, you're picking them up out of the water. But this is the step that you can grab the line and pull them in. They're kind of just like, okay, well, how are you qualified to do this program? Does that make sense?
Yeah, that makes sense.
Okay. Now it's followed by testimonials. So proof. Okay. So not only we hit in the last part, who are you? But now it's, all right, well, I know who you are, but why should I believe you? And this is best accomplished with testimonials and endorsements. Now, in your case, because you are opening up to a new market, you can use testimonials and endorsements that I think speak to how good of a coach you are and the services you provide and the results that you've created for people. Then as you go, if you can obviously very clearly get testimonials and endorsements from this target market, they need to be dropped in here. And this is where I know one thing I'm working on with you is to get more testimonials. This is also where strategic testimonial getting is really important, right? So when and if you ask one of these clients in this target, in this customer avatar, this target market that you're working with, when you ask them for a testimonial, that you should very clearly be asking them pointed questions, right?
Right.
And saying, hey, I'd love it if you could speak to, now you can only lead a horse to water. You can't force them to drink, but what you can do is provide them with some guidance, which is, I think most people who give testimonials are eager to at least get a little guidance. It's like, well, because I can't say how many times when you ask someone, like, can you write me a testimonial? And they just come back with, well, what would you like for me to say?
Right.
So get out in front of that and say, hey, here's some questions that would be really helpful for you to answer. And when you ask those questions, again, in a target group, and you know now that you want to use this testimonial content potentially on a landing page, ask them questions that specifically speak to, fears, frustrations, and problems related to their industry or their business or their service. Does that make sense?
Yep.
Perfect. Okay. So I just want to take a quick break and remind people this kind of template with tons more details and other templates are from the Copywriting Secrets book. I'm going to put a link below to this book. Again, I highly recommend it. It's on my short list for entrepreneurs, copywriters, content creators. If you're just a content creator, knowing a lot of this stuff that he goes through is really valuable. So highly recommend it. Okay. Moving on. Sum it up. tell them exactly what they're going to get, how they're going to get it, when they're going to get it, how much it costs. Now, I will say this, the how much it costs thing. This is not necessarily a Jim Edwards thing, but I think that a lot of people may be a little gun shy to put cost on a landing page. Mm-hmm. I think it can be helpful, but I will also say that it is not mandatory. I think it helps because you're providing a certain amount of full transparency, but I also appreciate for even someone like you, Craig, there may be so many different moving parts that this may not necessarily be a package type thing.
Yeah. Yeah. And with something like coaching where maybe a lot of people don't have experience with it, you run into the problem of they see a price, they don't know what to compare it to. So if they're thinking that's expensive, it's compared to what? They haven't had a chance to learn about what exactly, obviously the landing page tells you a snapshot of it, but sometimes through that conversation, somebody could look at a price before a call and be like, that's outrageously high. And then after a call, they're like, man, that's a steal. So
yes. And this is where, if you don't go with the how much it costs, go with some form of call to action to like book consultation. Mm-hmm. You know what I'm saying? Okay. So I think that works just as well. It really depends on how you have this set up. As a coach myself, I understand this challenge too, Craig, because it's like, well, because I work one-on-one with like all my clients, and every one is a little bit different. Now I have packages, but there's not always a one size fits all.
Right.
I do have some of those where I'm like, yeah, because I've done this enough, or I know this package makes sense, that kind of things. But other times, that's not the case. And if that's your situation, that's okay. I would just replace the cost with a book a consultation, or again, we're both Calendly users, book something in Calendly, a little, that kind of thing. Because I recognize that not everyone's business will have this packaged thing. Now, if you're a product or a downloadable, like if you're using this landing page to build like a lead gen, like a PDF or something, that's a different story. Something that they're just going to get. Then you can just put the cost on there if there is a cost.
It was like an online course, but yeah.
Correct. Yeah, if it's an online course that is recurring monthly revenue, that just they sign up for it, they get it, that's fine. I think if cost exists for a package, then put it. If not, you can move to a consultation there.
Love it.
So this is something that it can look something like this. This is a 6-part coaching program that starts on this date. I host weekly meetings with the theme. Make sure to leave time for Q&A. You pay a monthly subscription of X, right? So, you can formulate this kind of however it works. So this is an ongoing coaching program. It may not obviously start on a date because your particular thing is going to start when they start, right? But, we meet weekly, or again, like we determine how many times we need to meet in our first consultation call. Every meeting we kind of go through that kind of thing. It's open for Q&A, and then again, this is a situation where if cost is not a factor, you can replace this bottom part and put in something as far as like booking a consultation or something like that. Okay. So this piece obviously has some fluidity to it, depending on what exactly you are selling, or trying to get them into. But I think this is where at least providing some amount of detail on how this work. We meet regularly because, again, maybe it's weekly, maybe it's, I doubt it would be daily in your case, but yeah. So whatever kind of detail you can provide, then this kind of helps give the person some understanding of their investment of time, resources. It's like, okay, I'm, again, are we meeting every single day? I can't do that. Are we meeting every week? Okay. Are we meeting only once a month? Maybe I feel like that's not enough. So you can give some context here to said program. Okay. Now then you fall into the bonus section. Bonus. All right. Now, with the bonuses, this is where what you can do is, in addition to, if they exist, okay, you list out, you'll also get this, right? And so this is a quote from the book, one of Jim Edwards, I think, mentors, said this to him. It's like, the easiest thing in the world is sell dollars for dimes. So if you can pile on bonuses until the total value of our offer is 10x the price you charge, you're going to be able to more easily convert people. Now, let's also talk a little bit. Let's pull the curtain back. A bonus. How you define a bonus and how the customer defines a bonus could be different.
Yeah.
It's all in how you present it. So I may have a program that as part of the program, I have like 5 main parts. But what I might want to do is say, okay, these 3 are part of the main program. And then these 2 are like, bonuses. It's perceived value. And they do have to be of value, so you can't just throw in like something that no one gives a crap about. But if you have a program that has a lot of offerings, you can define a couple things as bonuses. And if you really want to make it amazing, if you have a very clear competitor in the space and they have an offering, add that to your thing as a bonus, I should have put free in quotes, right? Now, of course, it depends on what you're selling or giving away. If again, you're giving away a PDF and then it's true, there's like, as a bonus, I'm also going to include this other PDF. Like, okay, that's one thing. But in your case, for example, Craig, if you're giving away a service, or not giving away, you're selling a service, and maybe a competitor offers some sort of like, free assessment or something like that. If you can turn that on its ear and add it in, and it's like, I'm gonna throw that in as a bonus, in addition to all this other stuff.
Right.
That's really where your offer becomes super powerful. So that's a big one. And then finally, a guarantee. Now, this is another area where I think if you're able and willing to provide this, I think it does move someone closer to conversion. But I would say not everyone either wants to offer a guarantee, that kind of thing. But this would be a good time to think about, does a guarantee make sense? Because this is where you take away the risk.
It is.
A paragraph, it could literally be a single sentence.
It's where you take on the risk. Yeah.
Yeah, of course.
As the profit coach in me, I'm like, all right, so that means when they pay you, you got to set that money aside because you might have to refund it. Don't spend it. But yeah.
I'm glad you put your profit coach hat on there because people need to hear that. If you're going to do this, you need to obviously be prepared to fulfill it.
Right.
If you are not, don't do it. It's like reminds me from that scene from Tommy Boy where it's like, I can take a crap in a box and mark it guaranteed. I got time, It's like, a guarantee for what it's worth is only worth the paper it's printed on. It's up to the person to fulfill it, but that doesn't mean that you won't get destroyed on people writing honest but but negative things potentially about your business or about your service or about your product. And so if you are going to put a guarantee, you need to be able and willing to fulfill it. That's really
And I think industry specific too, as you're talking about, like,
Yeah.
dog supplement, if it just doesn't work, that's clearly black and white. He's still chewing on his paws. You get a refund, and it's small enough. A coaching program probably in the contract needs to have something outlined of you got to put in the effort. Don't don't go a couple months, not do the homework, and then say it's not working. So
and I think that's always really, as a coach, also myself, it's like, that is. It also depends on exactly how and what you're coaching them in, right? But you're right. There's a lot of detail and nuance, and which is true of many industries. So this is where, if this makes sense, if you can do it, if you're willing to fulfill it, I think it adds to the credibility, and it adds to the comfort for someone to convert or take action, right? And again, it could be something like a 30-day no questions asked. That it can be literally as simple as a single sentence. You could also do a guarantee, and this is I think this was a good tip from the book. It's like a guarantee where you just restate the benefits, in maybe a different way, which is not truly a guarantee, but at least it's like speaking to, you are bringing back all of the benefits so that they've gotten this point and they're starting to lean back, go away, you reel them back in. Okay. And finally, the call to action. Click here to buy. We talked about earlier that if you're going to replace the price with a schedule, you could put that there, and you could put this at the bottom of your page. A lot of good landing pages, you'll see the call to action actually peppered throughout. Particularly if it's like a button, right?
Yeah.
So
I like doing that.
Yeah, me too. I think it's good, or at the very least, putting a button that has what's called an anchor link on it. So for those of you who don't know, an anchor link is when you click on something and it like takes you to a certain part of the page, right? The page kind of like auto scrolls. So you could have in the top, in the middle, and at the bottom. And the ones maybe at the top and the middle are anchor tags to, the buy at the bottom. The benefit there is kind of like you do see, even if it auto scrolls, you see that there's more stuff there, right?
Right.
But you don't have to do that. Like, I'm not saying that is a proven or even better way of just putting a button there and getting them to go to the cart, right? I'm just saying it's an option. It depends a lot on what you're trying to sell and your offer and that kind of thing. But you definitely just want to make sure that your page is not completed without a call to action. So what are we here doing, folks? What are we here to do? We're here to try to sell or convert, okay? So, you can also give them another reason to buy right now. So when you order today, we'll give you another 10% off as part of a special marketing test or as part of whatever. And that, your ability to fulfill that is also tied to your own system, right? Or if you're able to do that. Or, Craig, you know how this is. It's something that up there that says, if you act today, but it's this is if I act tomorrow, I'm still going to get the deal. But it has some amount of urgency to it. Now there are systems, because I know do you use ClickFunnels? No.
No.
Okay. Lead pages?
I use lead pages.
Okay. So a lot of them. So if you use a tool like ClickFunnels, which actually Jim Edwards I think he like works with, or he's deep in with. He loves ClickFunnels, but Lead Pages is another good one for sure. Lead Pages has the technology in the back end to even say like, you can do these timed giveaways, or you can do these extra things where it's like, the upsells that come in, add an upsell here or there. So if you actually are looking to move a lot of product, the nice thing also about these tools is that they will have templates for landing pages similar to what we just went through. But I recognize that not all of you out there can either afford or even honestly need those tools. And if you're building your own landing page, again, this is a great formula to use. And the last thing, again, the call to action, you can do a recap. So you can even do all right, just to recap, you get boom, 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 that kind of thing. Okay? And this kind of PS, postscript, is something else you can add. And this is why, so this can be applied to a landing page. I know the template I'm using that I mentioned from Jim Edwards, this is a sales letter, right? A proper kind of like big, but translate it to the web. You can absolutely still do a PS on a landing page. And this is really where you can kind of turn the screws a little, you know? So I think this is another area where you could be like, you know, like, let's be real, I get it. You may be thinking about, you may say, oh, I'm going to wait 30 days to do this. And it's like, this is where you can really kind of, I don't want to say take them to task, but you can really just speak to that they should be acting now. Okay?
Yeah. If they read to the bottom of it, then that tells you that there's genuine interest.
Yeah. And so this is an example from the book again. You know, this gem will sell for $49. Introductory price of $29 is a buy it now before it's gone offer. So acts fact. So you see here, he even throws this in there, you know, in the PPS, right? If you pass on this, and because you're saying, oh, I can do this myself. This is one I use on one of my landing pages. Like, you're probably saying you can do this yourself. But the reality is you're not gonna. Because you haven't. Because you're looking at this page.
Right.
You wouldn't even be here if it was done. And it's like, it's one of those cans that you keep kicking down the road. Building your marketing and content plan. Oh, I can do that myself. Oh, yeah? Why isn't it done yet? So
Exactly.
if you're one of those people that haven't done it yet, because that sounds like you, go to getmarketingclarity.com and learn about Market Clarity program.
And that's why I hired you, and that's why I stayed with you, because even if I stopped working with you, I would go back to not doing it.
Yes. Well, and that's the thing too. I mean, and that's, to be fair, that's the value of working with a coach in any area. Coaches help to keep you accountable, and they help to make you better, right? And that's another thing too. I think I have failed to mention this whole call. If you're a small business service provider and you're struggling with your money, please talk to Craig. Craig, how can they find you?
Go to craigdacey.com.
Yeah.
That's where I am.
There it is.
And you'll see a brand new, beautiful landing page.
Oh, will you? Will you, man? Well, it's not, I don't think it's going to be done by the time I post this. I know you post something, and then we have a meeting coming up. So here's the thing too. I want to
not the niche specific one, but we built one.
That's true.
Together before.
You're right. So here's the deal. What we went through today is like the skeleton, right? And so what I'm going to do with Craig in our next coaching session, or even in the meantime, as far as give him guidance, is we're going to go back through and I'm going to work with him and put some meat on the bones, right? So we just outlined the sections. And Craig, I've had him go back through his marketing clarity worksheets. We have all the answers in there. That's what's nice about doing these worksheets that I put together, is we have all the answers. We just need to kind of like put it in the right format, right? So we're going to do that. And if you need help with landing pages, with your content, that kind of thing, again, I'd love to work with you, love to talk with you. If you're struggling with your money, your cash flow, please also hit up Craig. craigdacey.com. Craig, is there anything? Was this a helpful video?
It was very helpful. It was very helpful. Now, were you building the landing page? Was I supposed to be building anything?
Oh my God. Ah!
Just kidding.